in collaboration with the EU delegation in Uzbekistan, inaugurated their first full branch in Tashkent, marking a significant step in strengthening EU and Uzbekistan relations. Attended by 140 high-ranking participants, including government officials, EU representatives, and business leaders, the celebration marked EUROUZ's formal registration as Europe's first EU-supported business commerce chamber in Uzbekistan.
In Uzbekistan, my picture comes up speaking to the EU ambassadors in 2012 to try to pitch the idea of EUROUZ together with the EU ambassador there, Norbert Justin, who is now retired, but who is our virtually godfather. The EU delegation was instrumental over this entire period in helping us to establish the association to what we are today, and I want to personally thank to Her Excellency Ambassador Adrian, who has played an absolutely incredible role in helping us to really get where we are. Without you, it would absolutely have not been possible.
An important event, and it is also an event that is the evidence of the great progress that Uzbekistan, the remarkable progress Uzbekistan has made in these years.
We're very happy to have the reception today here, commemorating the inauguration of Europe-Uzbekistan Association office in Tashkent. Of course, this is a full branch office now, rather than the representation that we had in the past. This really creates and reflects the growing collaboration between Uzbekistan and the EU. The economic aspect of this cooperation is really critical, and it's becoming more and more so. So we are the first and the only EU chamber in Uzbekistan which covers the entire European Union, but also supports the Uzbek companies developing their business in Europe and trying to grow and expand in the region. I'm hoping for many years we'll see the growth and the opportunities created through this new platform that really will benefit both the private sector but also the public sector.
So I'm very happy to be here. I've been often to Uzbekistan, but today is a special day, a special evening. It's the launch of EUROUZ Association, which means European and Uzbekistan Business Association. It's important that business, of course, is also reunited under the European flag, because trade policy is a common competence of the European Union. And trade policy of the European Union with Uzbekistan is developing very rapidly. We have granted two years ago a special regime of duty-free treatment for 2/3 of the Uzbeks exports towards the European Union. This has meant that they have in 4 years quadrupled in value, which is a lot, but there is more to come. In January, so in 1 month, we will organize in Brussels a regional conference, EU Central Asia, on developing the transport facilities, because, of course, Uzbekistan has its geography and has high transportation costs. And more generally, we are developing our relation with Uzbekistan and Central Asia quite rapidly. And it's a success stories. We had connectivity conference in Samarkand last year, the year before, sorry. We will have next year the first summit again in Samarkand between Europe and Central Asia heads of states. And this shows that we are committed for the long term with this region. We believe that the European Union has also good experience to share, because we have built over 60 years a system of efficient crossing internal borders. It's not that legally there are no internal borders anymore, but they are easy to cross. And I think countries of Central Asia can also benefit from that experience. Well, there are several possibilities here. As you know, we had committed a feasibility study from the EBRD to better establish which corridors would be used or could be used between Central Asia and Europe. So obviously the road through Trans-Caspian and then the Caucasus is what we are developing. There are several options also depending on the countries, depending, as I was just mentioning, also the regulatory framework, because It is important that customs regulation, that custom systems are interconnected digitally, preferably. Digital is also a way to avoid corruption. And then there's also development in the Caucasus that can change certain corridors. The situation, hopefully, that there will be peace between Armenia and its two neighbors, Azerbaijan and Turkey, which would help also connectivity in the Caucasus. So it's difficult to say because we do not tell, or we cannot impose countries which route, or exporters which route they want to develop, but it's quite clear that we're getting there. It's a long-term project, obviously, but I think there is demand on both sides, and when there is demand, or as they say, when there is a will, there is a way. Whether for Uzbekistan, if Uzbekistan wants to connect it, that we don't have a problem with that, but we built our own system. Of course, we emphasize, and perhaps this is a difference of European Union with others, we want everything to be rules-based. We want equal access to companies to work, but we also want things to be developed in a sustainable manner. We do not see countries like Uzbekistan, for instance, as a simple transit country between Europe and China. We see the country for the development of the country as well. We want also sustainable from ecological and climate change point of view systems. So we want to see this for the long term, and not just come and quickly and sometimes dirtily do things, but it has to be sustainable. It has to benefit the countries through which it goes through. You know that we also have, through the Eastern Partnership policy, already a long time policy of development of relations with the three Caucasus countries. One of them is even striving to become a candidate. So it's multifaceted. But I can say that we certainly appreciate the willingness of Uzbekistan to open. I think the country needs investment. It has a young population growing quickly, so it needs to develop also its economy to create jobs. And we believe that European Union, being a number one destination of foreign direct investment, can help also establishing, I would say, investment-friendly rules so that investors come.
This unique platform facilitates engagement between leaders from both public and private sectors, fostering international economic cooperation. Previously limited, EUROUZ's expanded presence in Uzbekistan will support local businesses in European markets and provide on-the-ground assistance. Through joint initiatives, experience sharing, and capacity-building projects, EUROUZ aims to contribute to Uzbekistan's development, fostering business opportunities and collaboration with the European Union.
Peace, we can have cooperation and business to thrive, and that's what we all want. And we're looking forward to this also, deepening the relations next year, because this was, I understand, what I was also supposed to speak about. But next year is going to be in the ceremonies, and of course the summit, but lots of other things that we are in fact planning to do together with Uzbekistan.
The last years, in fact, there has been an enormous development in our cooperation. In particular, we have had, in fact, what we call the Partnership and Cooperation Agreement. We have now initialed an enhanced Partnership and Cooperation Agreement. This deepens our relations on all spheres. In fact, I mean, it extends and it deepens our cooperation. So this is very important. Maybe just to say that we spoke about it a little bit tonight. One of the highlights is, of course, the GSP Plus, and we've seen also how this has also, in fact, allowed us to have much more export, of course, of Uzbek products to Europe. But we also see, in fact, this is not the only thing. We have much more cooperation. We have much more companies which are coming also establishing joint ventures, and this is I'm not going to tell you all the results now of the 30 years, but what we see is that in many sectors we have enhanced the participation, but in the, let's say, in the economic sector, in terms of trade, in terms of investment, the last few years have been really, strong. And this is, of course, we say with the European Union, but this is also thanks to, you have seen the last year we've had lots of high-level meetings in Europe, being it in France, in Germany, in Italy, in Hungary. All this is increasing, in fact, our relationship also on the business side. So this is, I'm more focusing on the business side tonight. I'll come back next year. I'll come back to the 30 years. Negotiations. You always you have a good cop, bad cop. You have a good girl, bad. A good guy, bad guy. You always have some people who are saying the very nice things. We say, we're so good, and then we also have to have somebody who says, but there is one. There are some things that we can do better, and in fact, or which are not that good. And I was just saying. We have heard tonight how good, in fact, the relationship is, and it's true. We have a very good relationship, and we have had, for the last 2 weeks, we've had a number of incoming missions which were very important for the relationship between EU and Uzbekistan. But I was just saying, let's remember that, that we also need to, for example, the question of sanctions, is very important, and we're very happy that the President himself committed to there will not be any circumvention of the sanctions. And of course, this is not only Uzbekistan, this is also the economic sector, the businesses, some European businesses. In fact, the circumvention is also about European businesses circumventing. So I was just saying to the businesses, remember, what we want for Uzbekistan and for the whole world is, in fact, peace. We want peace in Ukraine, we want peace also elsewhere. And I was just saying, that was the one not only saying everything's beautiful, everything's fine, peace and love. I was just saying, let's remember that we really also need to continue to work on democracy, on things, on economy, and on making sure that everything can work in the best conditions, and rules-based. GSP Plus, we've spoken a lot about it not this week, but last week we had the GSP Plus press conference, yes? In fact, so EU has granted Uzbekistan on 10th of April, if I remember well, 10th of April 2021, EU granted Uzbekistan something which is called the General Scheme of Preferences Plus, which gives access to Europe, in fact to the European market, so more than 450 million consumers. Uzbek companies can export 6,200 products to the European market, which is big, tax-free, duty-free. That's what we're talking about. This is really important because it means that, in fact, with this duty-free, and we've seen it's gone up very much, there's a lot of export to Europe. We've seen that it makes savings, of course, for the companies, yeah? The companies are, in fact, because they don't pay taxes, duties to get into the market, in fact, they save money. Otherwise, they would have had to pay taxes. And this is a saving for last year, 2022 only, of 28 million euro. So this is enormous. It means that, in fact, this allows the companies to invest instead of paying taxes, duty to get into the European market. They save this funding and they can use it for, expanding, investing, improving maybe the system of working. Maybe hiring more people. So this is really, this is something which is really important. This goes directly to, it's a saving, so it's really something that you can feel, yeah. It's like if you didn't have to, if you get a rebate on something that you're buying, so you can buy something else. They can do lots of things. So this is what it is.